So the first thing we're going to do is find a user rhythm. On the CT-X3000 you've got 50 user rhythm spaces where you can program your own rhythms. On the CT-X5000 you've got 100 user rhythms. So I'm going to go to press rhythm, and this one here, 318, I've already started some work on, but I'm actually going to show you how to delete one. If you've not got enough room, this is how you would delete it. You do a long press on the record stop button and then use the arrows until it says rhythm clear. Press enter and it says sure, press yes, and now that's been deleted. So if we go back, 318 now says no data. So we're starting from a blank canvas and we're going to record our four rhythm patterns into 318. The first thing I would recommend doing is actually naming this pattern, so that if you need to go away and come back, you know where your rhythm is. So again, it's do a long press on the record stop button, and here it says rhythm name, press enter, and the cursor starts to flash, and I'm now going to give this a name, and I'm going to call it 8-beat. So just keep using the wheel until you can find the right character that you want, and then use the left and right arrows to move along the line. So let's actually delete this one, and then we'll put a B in here. There it is. Back a bit. And then this one here, I'm going to make an E. Put a lowercase e in, I think. And then move along the line again. Let's delete this one on the end. So now it says 8-beat. Press enter. Are you sure? Yes. Press exit. And 318 is now called 8-beat. So now we're going to go into setting up for recording our first pattern. So now that we've named our rhythm to 8-beat, I'm going to record the first variation into this rhythm. So what I want to do is to press the function button and hold it down. So we go into edit mode. And the first thing that you'll see is it will say 2 drums. So this is, we're recording part number 2, which is the drum part. Remember that in the rhythms, number 1 is usually called percussion, but it can be drums as well. 2 is drums, but it can be percussion. And then the other parts from 3 to 8 are instrumental parts, bass parts, or strings or guitars, or whatever you want to record. But we're just going to be dealing with part number 2. If you can see on the screen, V1 is flashing, so this is indicating that I'm going to be recording into variation number 1. Once you're at this point, press registration button number 8, and it will quickly say menu followed by element. Press enter, and then here it says measure, and at the moment the measure is set to 1. And I know that this wants to be a 4 measure pattern, so I'm going to increase that to 4. And it's a good idea whilst you're here at this point to actually set them all to 4 measures. So you can just press V2, and again you'll notice how it changes on the screen to 1 measure. I can change it to 4, V3, change it to 4, V4, change it to 4, and that's all we need to do. The other thing we can do, of course, is change the number of beats in the bar, but if you leave it on number 3, it's going to be 4 beats per bar. So let's press exit twice, and we're now back to 2 drum, and the number 2 is flashing, but it's also flashing V1. So I want to V4. So I want to go back to V1. Okay. So now we can start to record the first pattern. You can also select the tone that you want. So if I press tone, you can see that I've already set it to 765, the standard drum kit. But you could change it if you wanted to. Once you've set up the drum set that you want to use, just press exit and you'll go back to 2 drum. Now do a short press on the record stop button, and it should say empty, proving that there's nothing already recorded into this variation number 1. Now I do a long press on record stop, and the first thing you'll see is quantize, and these numbers here represent different levels of quantize. Number 1 is quantize is turned off, but I know my pattern is mainly 1/8 notes, so I'm going to set this value to 5, which means 1/8 notes. I'm also going to move the cursor along, check that the pre-count is on, so it'll count in 1 bar before we start recording, and also just check that the metronome is on so that I'm playing to a metronome. Now we're all ready to go. Check, I've got my drum kit already, and I'm just going to record the bass drum part to begin with. So to start recording, you press the start stop button here. We'll get the pre-count, and on the display you should see the measures counting off and the beats counting off. This is measure 2, this is measure 3. Here comes the bass. And now it's just looping round, and you can hear the kick drum or the bass drum pattern that I recorded. Remember that we've got the option for velocity, so you can put accents in as well. But that's sounding pretty good. And next I'm going to put in the snare drum, which is on the offbeat on the 2 and the 4. I'm going to leave off the little bit of pattern that comes at the end of bar 4 for the moment. So once we go back to the beginning, so there's the snare drum and the bass drum working well. Next I'm going to do the crash cymbal, which comes on the first beat of the first bar, followed by the hi-hats in between. When you record the hi-hats, if you can kind of try and make them in pairs, put a little bit of emphasis on the first of each pair, it just sounds a bit more natural. The other thing we've got in this pattern is a little open hi-hat just in the 4th bar. So again, once it cycles around again, I'll do the cymbals. Okay, I missed a little bit of a quaver in the, or an 1/8 note in the hi-hats. I could put that in, or I could actually just delete the whole thing and start again. So to delete something, it's still while we're in record mode, is to hold number 2 on the registration button, and then the relevant keys on the keyboard. So let's just clear all of the cymbals for the moment. You've got to hold it all down whilst it plays through the pattern until we get to the end. There was that little open hi-hat, so let me press that key as well. So I've completely cleared all of the cymbal work in this pattern. Here it comes again from the beginning. So when it loops again, I'm going to do all of that one more time. that's sounding much better now. So I'm actually going to press stop because there's a little bit of snare drum pattern that we haven't recorded, a snare drum rhythm in the end of the fourth bar. And the reason why I didn't record that straight away is because it's got 16th notes or semiquavers, and it's also got a little grace note or a flam. It's called a flam in drum jargon just before the fourth beat. So I need to change the quantize setting. So a short press first of all on the record stop button shows me that there's something already recorded in here, which we know we've done. And now a long press, and the first thing that you'll see is quantize. So I want to move that up to 8, which is actually referring to 16th notes. So now whatever I play will be shifted to the nearest 16th note. So I'm going to play this little rhythm that comes just at the end on the snare drum on the fourth beat in the fourth measure. So press start and stop, we get the count in. And I use 2 fingers to help get that little rhythm. Press stop again. Now the little flam note or the grace note comes just before the fourth beat. So again, I'm going to change the quantize setting, and that's first of all a short press. It says something's recorded, and then it's a long press, and this time I'm going to make quantize number 1. So quantize is off. Now because this note is a very quick note that just comes just before the beat, you could change the tempo as well. We could just lower the tempo, just gives you a bit more time to get the fingers in the right place on that particular grace note. So let's press start and stop, we'll get the count in. This is bar 3. Missed it that time. We'll do it one more time. Okay, that still didn't quite work. Let's try it one more time. That's better. And let's press stop, and let's just bring the tempo up a little bit, back to 120, and have a listen to our rhythm. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. Now I'm going to just carry on doing the other 3 patterns, one after the other.